learn something new, especially if it's a new program mixed with a new way of coding, because we all know that programming is not the easiest thing in the world. And once you finally wrap your brain around a language like, let's say, ActionScript, then to go and kind of change the way you do things is incredibly hard. So let me say this: if you are coming from an ActionScript background, like I was, after a few months, and I'd say about only 2 really kind of serious hardcore months of working on an application, I found that I really liked Objective-C. That's the code that we're going to be programming in here. I like a little bit more in ActionScript at this point, and some of that might even just have to do with the fact that I've been using it steadily for 2 months. I just hopped back into an ActionScript project recently, and I was like, oh man, I want my header file, my implementation file, all these different things that are, you know, custom to Xcode. So, you know, I think on that level, if you do kind of believe me or trust me that this is a good language, I think you're going to find that it can be, you know, and it's actually, at least editor-wise, it fills in so much code for you guys. It's amazing, and almost to the like a Jedi level of like intuitiveness in terms of like it'll tell you, you know, it almost writes it before you're gonna write it, and we'll see how that works in just a little bit. But I was when I was kind of prepping for this tutorial too, I went through and I thought, you know, if I was looking at Xcode for the first time, what's going to be kind of intimidating to me? And obviously a lot of these things over here on the left column, you don't know what they are. Well, let me tell you this. Throughout all my months of development so far, I didn't even look at this folder, this folder, this one, this one, this one, this one. Those are kind of obvious. This one, I did ultimately end up paying attention to the targets and the products. The product is just ultimately, again, it's the application that you're going to create here. If you were ever to go and go to Reveal and Finder, it would show you the application that it ends up publishing. It's, I guess, kind of equivalent to the SWF that you get published if you're coming from a Flash background. And then targets. It is possible to have more than one target here if you were. You can set up a project so that it publishes to both an iPhone file and then thinking ahead like an iPad product as well. I don't know if I would recommend doing both in one Xcode project though. Like if you were gonna develop for the iPad, I'd probably start off a different project specifically for that one. I could see how it could get kind of weird to have both targets in there, and that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves, so let's fold that back up. But what you really want to pay attention to are your classes. Okay, let me give ourselves a little bit more room here, and your resources. And I think, let me just remind myself what's in other sources. Yeah, you don't even have to worry about those guys. And even within these classes that come with, by starting a view-based project, which we did when we just a second ago, it gave us these classes right away. And even among these first two here, the app delegates, we don't even really need to get into too much. In fact, I'm trying to think if I ever modified either one of these when I was working through my tutorial. You kind of begin with your view controller here, and you can see actually that these are kind of the most empty of the two of the files that you begin with. And we're going to be working with these two files quite a bit during this tutorial, and I don't though want to begin with you guys writing any code. What I want to do is switch over and show you guys the nib file, or it's sometimes called the zib file. This file that ends with the extension .xib, and actually if you look over here, they call these, over here they refer to them as nib files. Okay. And actually, again, I just kind of discovered that when I was prepping for this lesson, that, oh, they put all your nib files in that one little place. What that file is it's your interface builder file, okay, just to put it simply. So if I were to double click on this, all right, and open it up, it's going to switch me over to interface builder, which is where you're going to be taking a lot of the kind of pre-made components out of, well, let's bring up the library. Where is it? The library. here they are, these objects, and putting them onto which essentially is the stage for your iPhone application. So let's go do like a really easy one. And so I'm over here in objects. Let's find the segmented control. Okay. And by the way, there are a couple different ways of that they lay out these objects. In fact, I think I'm possibly using a version of Xcode that just modified how these were laid out. Sometimes they're kind of like in a rows and columns. Well, anyway, you just want to go and look for that segmented control. Sometimes too, I'll just filter out. I'll just go like UI S seg, and then it'll kind of narrow down my choices here. So once you get this onto the stage, you could save the file, jump back over here to Xcode, okay, and click on Build and Run, all right, which is essentially kind of like Publish in Flash. And oh, you know what? This actually opened up in. I want to set this active executable to iPhone simulator. It was actually going for the iPad there. So let's correct that. Build and run. You'll see this message a lot. Stop executable. Just click OK every time. And here we go. Off to the side, it opened up the iPhone simulator, and you can see, hey, look at that. There's that component that I just put down there on the stage or object. And hey, I've got a phone in front of me too. The iPhone simulator is kind of neat at first. I mean, I guess I've kind of gotten used to it by now, but I do remember when I first was playing around with it, I was like, cool, I've got an iPhone on my computer. What is kind of fun is you can click like, the home button, and it'll get you back to some of the other test projects that you've put in there. What was the one we were just playing with, this guy? And you can also do some things like rotate it left, rotate it right. There's a nice hotkey for that, which is the Apple key, and then the left and right arrows. You can also shake it a little bit, although I thought well, I guess it's not visibly showing it shake. And then if you hold down the Option key too, this kind of gives you the two-finger control, and I believe too if you hold down, let's see, is it shift now? Well, I thought there was one that kind of kept the two fingers together, but for right now, for today, we're not going to actually mess with any two-finger stuff. We will do that though. So let me quit out of that, and what we need to do is set up inside of our header file here basically an instance variable name for this segment that we're going to be talking to, okay? And the good news here is that pretty much with everything that you set up, every type of object that you have on stage in Interface Builder there, you're going to set it up in a very similar way, okay? So let's just go ahead and start doing it. Generally, you'll begin with IB outlet if it is something that is an object on the stage there. IB stands for Interface Builder, so we want an outlet to that. Okay, if you want some fancy way of remembering that, I guess. And then we're going to write what type of object it is. Generally, these are going to start with UI for user interface, and then segmented control. If you're ever confused about what type of object it is, you can go back over here to Interface Builder and find it in the library. Again, you can just kind of type it in like that, and there it is, UI segmented control. When you click on it, it's this down here in gray. All right, that's what we're going to be typing right there. And for, I don't think I've found an exception to this rule yet. For all these other things that are in here, UI search bar, UI slider, UI image, it's just this exact little name right here that you throw in at this point. And then you're going to put a star, okay? And that's just kind of a way of announcing that what we're going to write next is going to be the instance variable name. There's very few exceptions to that too. And I'll point out some of them where you don't put the star in there. But for the most part, throw a star in, and let's just call this my segment, okay, and then a semicolon afterwards. When you save the file, it's going to make it kind of turn this like shaded green right here. Later on, when we refer back to this my segment in like our implementation file where we're going to be doing most of the grunt work, it should turn green like that. your object, if the object you're referring to doesn't change colors in that file,